Come on.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned into the Check Engine Podcast. We're hosted on Anchor.fm, and we are streamed worldwide on all of your favorite streaming platforms. My name's Nick, and joining me are my two good friends and co-hosts, Andrew and Tristan. What's going on, fellas?
Not much. I am still experiencing the occasional thrill from our interview from our last episode, though, in all honesty.
You stole my thunder, man. I was going to say, I'm still on a high from the Bozy episode.
That was just good. I mean, it's so interesting. Tristan, I'll let you talk in a moment. It's just so interesting to talk to someone who not only has clearly done things, but is actually willing to talk about them openly.
Yeah, it was one of the comments I had received from a couple of people who listened to it was that he was just so open to talking and didn't need to be led by the nose. And that's, I wouldn't go as far as to say welcome change. I think we've had a fair few talkative guests, but they were pleased with how well that interview flowed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's something we're always nervous about before we get a guest on. We could go hours just talking to him about his story coming over from Yugoslavia too.
Yeah,
the fact dude comes over as a Civil War refugee, learns English in 4 months, and now is a journalist.
Yeah, that's really something.
Is crazy.
I mean,
we got to have him back and talk about
definitely.
Other stuff. But anyway, he is not on again this week. And we actually don't have guests. It's just the three of us this week. What is on tap for tonight? Anything special?
No, nothing special. We don't have a theme. We don't really have anything cogent. We're just going to see what happens.
That sounds like fun.
Because, well, never mind. I don't want to jump ahead of it, but the dumbest thing happened last week before April Fool's, and that's where we're going to start, and then we're just going to see where it goes.
Andrew's very favorite time of year.
Yes, your favorite holiday, right, Andrew? April Fool's?
Oh my fucking God. I hate it I hate everything about it. It's not just that it's horrible and unfunny and not entertaining. It's also that people try to take it seriously, or there's this new shift where it's ooh, we're not doing April Fool's Day. Look how good we are as a corporation. It's well, if you hadn't been dicks in the first place, maybe you wouldn't need to do this now because no one likes you.
Specific brand in mind?
No, not really.
I mean, do we want to talk about Volkswagen?
Yeah, obviously that's what I'm talking about.
So that's the starting spot.
For anyone who might have missed it. I'm trying to get the date where this happened or this announcement happened. So basically in the lead up to April Fool's, either through just blinding incompetence or really truly bad planning, Volkswagen leaked or announced, one or the other, there's no difference nowadays, by the way, that they were changing their name to Volkswagen, as in electricity.
Just for the USA.
Yeah, something like that. And they played along with, or they tried to string people along with this, but A, no one believed it from the jump, and B, they didn't.
Actually, on contraire, it got reported as fact everywhere.
Oh, really? Maybe it's just who I follow on Twitter. Because literally everyone that I follow on Twitter was saying this is absolutely not true, and here's why. Their PR people are not responding to emails. This guy who will talk to you for hours about the tiniest little thing, he hasn't picked up his phone. Like, they're all just like, no, absolutely not, never.
It might just be who you followed, because not only did we get got, I'll say it, I posted it on our Facebook page, but so did Yahoo Finance, CNBC, Car and Driver, Auto Week. Like, every
feel
major publication posted it. And I think it's because it came out before April Fool's Day. If it would have come out on April 1st, people would have been like, okay. But the fact that it came out like the 28th or 29th, and then everybody was mum about it, was like, okay, maybe there actually is something to it.
Well, it's funny. One of my coworkers asked me about it. Like, whoa, what do you think about this? And it's like, my take was always that sure, they might be quote unquote actually changing the name, but it would be like when IHOP actually changed their name to IHOB.
Yeah.
Like, where it's not, they're not actually going to change a company name long term. It's all just a marketing thing for a short amount of time. Like, we are legally Volkswagen for 6 months while we announce a bunch of ID electric cars, and then we'll go back. It's fine. Like, that was always my take on it, was that it was not going to be permanent, but that it was going to be a publicity thing from day one.
Now, that is interesting, because I feel like Road and Track not Road and Track, Car and Driver, you said, Nick, was a place that like published it and was like, oh, it's happening.
That and others, like I said,
I remember. I think it was
business articles too, like CNBC and Yahoo Finance, and a bunch of people ran with it.
I do think it was Car and Driver who kept publishing articles. Like, they do a lot of reposting of their own stuff, and I also think it was them who wrote like a follow up, like, confirmed it's real, and
cut them twice,
and Rory Carroll, amongst other people I follow, was just like, no, absolutely not. This is not happening. But I got to make a fun meme out of it that I enjoyed. And I don't know. It's to me, this is really stupid, especially if on actual April 1st, Reuters is going to report the following: that Tesla is going to have to, or has agreed to, sell Volkswagen green energy credits in China because they do not comply. They don't make enough electric vehicles to comply with environmental regulations in China. So they have to buy credits from Tesla. Volkswagen. Great. You really did it.
Yeah, I think that's why the push was always going to be, in the US, was always, qualified that way. But
man, it was stupid.
I'm trying to was there any other car related? I'm trying to remember, outside of the Volkswagen thing. I think April Fool's was kind of quiet for car manufacturers.
I did not even actively check, because I've progressed far past the I don't care. I don't know what's past that, but that's where I'm at right now.
Active distaste.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's first. Let's see. I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything worth talking about in stuff or stuff that I saw that people did. Let's see here. Skoda Intune software, which monitors people singing and automatically corrects out-of-tune notes in real time. That's stupid. Oh, yeah. Porsche said that they would sell patina paint.
Okay.
Like, paint your 911 rusty, I guess.
Okay.
Listen, this is... Right.
That's what I'm saying. It was a quiet April Fool's.
Don't give me this. This is the bar. Like, there's nothing better than this. There's nothing above this. This is what all April Fool's Day brand pranks are. This is not anything other than absolutely expected.
So so you got the Skoda's remedy for the tone deaf is what this article calls it. Then Volkswagen, but then there is also a Alfa Romeo's real life Instagram filter.
Uh-oh.
If you're upset that you might not get the La Dolce Vita experience, winding roads and Tuscan sunshine, the car maker has got something for you. The new light Nuova Luce technology, which uses state-of-the-art electrochromic glass to basically put Instagram filters on your windows. In the much more obviously an April Fool's joke, and not something that I wouldn't put past Alfa Romeo, is Caterham's 7 lube, with the tagline "Slip into your 7."
Oh.
No.
To assist with ingress to your doorless Caterham. So
you.
Absolutely vile.
Did you see IMSA's attempt? Did you see their press release?
No, what'd they do?
They announced that the 2022 Rolex, or 2022 Roar before the Rolex 24, so the preseason test, to utilize a Ricky Carmichael designed motocross circuit.
Okay.
I mean,
honestly, that's like I don't know. What do they want from me?
They tried at some Photoshop here to put DPI cars jumping over a triple jump, but okay.
Why do they do this? What is this meant to? All right, so I think the biggest thing I saw in, I guess, the wake of the Volkswagen thing, I barely want to call it that. I don't think anyone really bought it, and I think any publication that did actively play into it was also very clear that it was fake, but was just doing the meme thing. But in the best case scenario, right? Let's say that this Volkswagen thing went perfectly as it could. Everyone in the entire country 100% believed that Volkswagen was changing their name to Volkswagen. What does that help? Who is that for?
They would argue it's just for fun.
But no one had fun.
I bet you some people did. I bet you some people did.
All right.
Like, listeners, just because you didn't or just because we didn't doesn't mean nobody did.
No, I actually firmly believe that it does. Listeners, if you got the best kick out of this Volkswagen thing, if you thought this was the wasp's clit, if you thought this was just the funniest shit you've ever heard in your life, please send us a letter or something. Reach out so that I can tell you that you are dumb. That's a personal promise from me to you. I will tell you that you are stupid if you just contact the show, and then I can tell you you're dumb.
So we don't get to let Andrew talk about April Fool's Day anymore? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, we should just skip any April Fool's Day anything moving forward.
Fine, whatever. Hate on my honest interpretation of something so stupid.
In your opinion.
Not objective reality.
Nope.
Whatever. The only other thing that happened on Twitter that I thought was interesting was Bradley Brownell, or BC Brownell, did a 1 like for 1 take tweet thread. That's
okay.
Long. It's very long. It spanned 1, 2, 3, 4 hours.
That is a long time
on Twitter. Mostly he's for anyone who doesn't know who he is, he works with Radwood and does automotive writing and stuff like that. And so a lot of these were car focused takes, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm just trying to get to like the where it all started on his thread.
Where it all began.
His first take was that the Ferrari Daytona is ugly, and if you like it, your eyes are broken. Tristan, as our Ferrari knower,
Yes.
can you point it out?
Can I point out a Ferrari Daytona if I saw one?
In a lineup of two cars, could you pick it out?
Yeah. It's the one that kind of looks like a Jag.
It actually, oh my God,
Yes.
It actually is. He's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
That's the only reason I know.
It's almost like a mix between a Jag and like a C4 Corvette.
Yeah.
The convertible version, or the Spider as they call it. A little bit. I'm not saying it's exact. It's not a spitting image, but it's like it kind of reminds me of that. It's like if an old Jag and a C4 had a baby.
I hadn't thought about the C4 until just now, but you're entirely right.
Yeah, I mean that's just like where it started. I won't read every single one, but that one specifically got me thinking. Which I think we've talked about in the show before, there are actually a lot of ugly Ferraris, and it just reminded me how stupid I think. What's that one Ferrari, like the something GTO, the one that keeps selling for $11 billion every other year. This is not a sale year, by the way. That car is super ugly. I think that thing, it looks like ass.
Yeah, I think Ferrari has a very high miss to hit ratio as far as good looking cars.
I mean, they got some bangers too, but I mean, the GTO, I would say the GTO is better than the Daytona. I don't think my eyes are broken at all. I do think this is ugly.
Well, then yeah.
Well, then your eyes are working.
Yeah, exactly. I said I don't think my eyes are broken at all.
Yeah. Yep.
But like they also put out some bangers, like the F8 Tributo is gorgeous any way you look at it.
That is a good looking car. That's true.
Like, but you're right, Tristan. I think the F40 was great. The F50, what did we call it? A bent fork with nostrils?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's kind of 50-50 what you're going to get from Ferrari.
But here's a take Brunel had that I really, really liked. I think he knocked this one out of the park. All new cars should be made to order. Dealer inventory schemes have ruined car culture. And as this is the season of car culture on the Check Engine podcast, I have to say I completely agree with him.
Okay, I don't disagree, but I need more. Show your work.
Well, all right. So I just bought a new car, and on the lot there were 3 similar models. So essentially, the N-Line Elantra comes with one available interior with a very narrow set of options, right? It's essentially a few cosmetics and like the cargo net and all that other stuff, the health, the first aid kit, shit like that. But the fact that those cars have such a narrow options list is a result of the fact that Hyundai and every other manufacturer tends to spec their new car orders to what they know will sit on lots for the least amount of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, one of the very few options on my car is a electronic like mirror that does the garage thing and auto tints and all that stuff. But that's
actually, speaking of entire side note to that, I actually just set mine up, my HomeLink rearview mirror.
Yeah.
I have never been more surprisingly pleased by a piece of car technology.
Yeah, I actually really want that mirror, by the way.
I can open my garage door from like work. It's so good.
Wait, do you want to do that?
No, but certainly like the bottom of my driveway, you can open the garage door, which is really saying something.
The important thing is he could if he wanted to.
Yeah, he could if he wanted to.
Correct.
Power.
Versus having to repeatedly mash the button until the battery warmed up enough in my previous one over the winter, about 15 or 20 times to get the garage door shut.
Yeah,
so
it's a great little thing.
Welcome change. Anyway,
I definitely want it. But
continue.
Yeah. So basically between like the R-Spec, the Veloster R-Spec is my last car, and the N-Line, what essentially Hyundai does is strip out a lot of the options and make it specific to the trim line. So if you want leather seats, then you have to get the Elantra Limited. If you want the performance package, you have to get the N-Line. If you want essentially their best deal, you have to go with, whatever it is, like the, I want to say SE or whatever, the middle SEL, something like that. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yep.
But that compartmentalization has made it so that there are fewer options available. Say, what if I had wanted, for example, an N-Line with leather? I couldn't get it. It's not possible. Or what if I'd wanted an N-Line with blinker lights on the mirrors, which is a feature on the Limited, but not on any other model? Just little stuff like that. And I feel like if you were to be able to order new cars the way you wanted them, this is just a little niggle with the car that kind of annoys me. So the exterior of my car is called lava orange. That's the paint color.
Mm-hmm.
It looks red 90% of the time, except if you're sitting in the car where all of the trim is actually red. But wouldn't it be awesome if the trim in the car matched the paint color? I feel like that stuff begins to open up if you can order the car the way you want it. I mean, obviously that's sort of like higher end stuff, but even just, like the little inserts, that stuff could be color matched like it is in other cars I've done, like the Kona. You know what I mean? Like there's evidence of them doing this before. And I feel like individual orders per each new car would allow for more customization like that.
So, okay, yeah, a couple things to unpack there. I think in theory, yes, it's a good thing. I think where I'm hesitating is, and I guess now, you see it with Carvana, you get a week or 2 weeks to drive and you can return it or something like that, like a risk-free trial period. But it's still the idea of just building it and getting it without driving it first. I think that's just something mentally that myself and maybe some other people are just going to have to get used to. That doesn't mean car lots are going away, because what are we going to do with the trade-ins? There's still going to be a used car market.
Right.
So just because you have to, everything's ordered a la carte, I mean, you're still at some point probably going to have a dealership experience. Yeah. The thing you mentioned, the customization piece, I'm almost thinking of like a hybrid in between what you're saying, because what you're saying is, just in your case, I want the trim on the interior to be lava orange to match the exterior.
Mm-hmm.
That is custom made just for you, probably because that's not a color that's even offered, right? So that jacks the price way up. Now, if there's
but what I'm saying is, it gives you, if each car is made specifically, if each interior is made specifically, it's not a matter necessarily of creating like whole interiors. It would be a simple matter of changing out thread. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Changing out a stitching thread, snapping in a different plastic insert, where if the car is made to order with, say that's option package 3 or something like that, sure, right? Because the car only comes in 4 colors. One's black and one's white. So that's option package 3, orange lining. Like I said, they've done it on other cars before, so I know it's something that they are aware of. But I just wonder if something like this would open a door to add something like that, a small amount of customization on regular cars, and thus ignite people's interest in the cars that they're buying.
And that's always been my question / depending on the answer, argument, is that I don't know why all options aren't available on all cars. Why some are only restricted to like a higher trim, because there are people like me out there, and that's my question is, I guess, how many people there are. Like, I would pay $800 extra for an option, but I won't pay $3,000 more for a higher tier vehicle. I'll just skip it.
Right.
So
right.
They're missing out on selling me options and accessories because they don't make them available on the lower trim cars. Now, I know the flip side of that is that some people will be like, well, I guess I really need that thing. I better bump up to the premium tier. But I'd be curious to see how often that happens, because like, I know, like, I would have paid for the ventilated seats and the heated steering wheel on my car, but you have to get the premium version. Which the problem with that is that the premium version also takes away stuff. Like
Right.
it's like you don't get the full size spare. Like
that,
like that kind of thing. It's like I can't get exactly the car I want because they're all siloed into, touring gets this, premium gets this, Onyx gets this. Like in my case, and there's stupid stuff that like doesn't impact. Like Nick, you mentioned like, you'd still want to test drive it. Well, okay, you can put a basic model in with the right engine and transmission, and put a seat in the dealer in the dealer building, and be like, here's the leather ones, here's the, in my case, StarTech ones, here's the cloth ones. Like sit in the seats and then drive the basic car and make your choices. But you don't need to have this huge dealer inventory of stuff that isn't quite exactly what anybody wants to buy.
And we've done quite a few episodes that revolved around, well, maybe not quite a few, like 2 or 3 that revolved around car configurators. That is like one of the most annoying things ever on a configurator is you choose one option and here comes the pop-up. To get that, you also have to get this, but that means we have to subtract this. And there's like a paragraph or just like 30 bullet points because you clicked one option. So it's just like if everything was a la carte, hey, I want this engine, I want this transmission, and then I want these seats and these rims. Like, okay, to get these rims, you can't have, side mirror turn indicators. It was like one doesn't have anything to do with the other.
Yeah,
like,
that's something entirely unrelated. Like,
yeah.
I get like, oh, if you want the tow package on your pickup truck, you have to get the different rear end ratio because that's the only way you can reliably tow that much. Okay,
perfect. That applies.
Get it. Makes total sense. And you can get that separately without the tow package in case you want more pickup or you're not towing stuff. Let's say you're hauling a bunch of stuff in the bed, whatever. You want the different ratio, you can have it. Cool.
But Tristan, if you want that tow package, you're only going to get 2 USB ports in the front, not 3.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That no sense.
What does that have to do with anything? So, I guess I could get on board with that. I think that's just more of a me problem, just trying to get used to the not quote unquote traditional way of buying a car.
Well, I also think it wasn't the tradition, right? If we're talking about buying a car in definitely the 50s, 60s, 70s, I assume at least part of the 80s, but probably that's when it started to fall off, like true mass production, true just pumping out shit cars for everyone. You could still order your, Mustang with your selection of interiors and your selection of features on it. That's kind of what's so interesting about older cars to me in a very limited capacity, right? This, a Pontiac Grand Prix is one of 300 made in black, one of 75 made in black with a wood steering wheel, one of 50 made in black with a wood steering wheel and AC. You know what I mean? Like it gets so granular that actually kind of becomes interesting.
Well, it's something that like there's even a term for it that you don't do anymore. That you can't do anymore. Like I remember my dad relating stories to me about my great grandpa, as I think exactly where I come from. He's the like Dudley family proto gadget geek. Like if it was a cool thing, he wanted to have it. So like he would just go through and buy a car and quote unquote, check every box on the option sheet. Like it used to be literally a sheet of paper. Like you're buying your car, what options do you want on it? And again, I haven't lived in this time. I haven't purchased a car in this time, but the way that it's been described to me and the way that that turn of phrase is still used, like, oh yeah, he checked every box on the option sheet. No, he didn't, because he can't.
He got the limited.
Yeah, he got the limited, which has a lot of stuff. But did he get a full size spare? No, sir. It's back to a time when, I think the whole premise is strong, where that it has an impact on car culture, because instead of the comparison that I have, obviously you need some help with your car, but it's cooking your own food versus going to like not a nice restaurant because they'll customize a lot of stuff for you, but like a Noodles and Company It's like nicer food. They'll customize some stuff for you, but it's not like you do it at home where, when the recipe says, salt and pepper to taste, that's your taste. And you can choose that. And no, we're not talking about Coach building every car and giving every Elantra the Rolls Royce treatment, but having a checkable option sheet does have some appeal.
I wonder what the base price for something like this is, right? Because there's evidence of brands being able to make a profit on cars with customization options like this at around like $35,000 to $40,000. So I'm thinking specifically of Camaro and Mustang being the two recent options. Ever since the Mustang was introduced, it's had a bevy of paint schemes, racing stripes, louvers, just all this shit that you can get on the car. And of course,
but if you get the louver, you don't get the first aid kit.
Well, the whole thing is generally with those, it doesn't extend to like interiors. They may have 3 or 4 interiors. I'm specifically thinking of that couple of years where they made, I think it was not the first Mustang revival, but the second generation when they had the Boss 302 and that other special edition, the red and gray,
the Laguna Seca
edition. Yeah. So in the couple of years where they made those, you could actually get those packages or elements of them, specifically the Boss, because Laguna Seca was like a full race redo with a different ECU and stuff. You could get elements of the Boss package on a regular car with stickers and different running boards or the louvers or the paint or whatever, but you could just have that on your regular V8 Mustang. You know what I mean? And I think there's a place for this, but I do think that in reality, if we're actually talking about this idea as a practical thing, it's probably just above what average people would pay for a car. Although saying that, the average monthly car payment is like $600. So
that's actually, if that statistic is true and not just one that you grabbed, makes me feel good, because I felt like I was
very good.
I felt like I was rocking the boat a little bit with mine, and it comes
$563.
Yeah, I'm not as good, but I'm still under.
$563. Lease payments are an average of $450. Used car average monthly payment $397.
If the average lease payment
used is $397
for hundo.
Wow. Okay, so now my trade-in was unique because I actually had like positive equity because I traded in a 3-year-old pickup for a 3-year-old Focus ST, but I'm like half of that for my payment. So I feel really good. I feel really good about
my payment on the podcast, but
well, I don't care.
Yeah, no, I was stunned at how high that was. So, I mean,
that is crazy.
There's no good way to calculate what the MSRP of a $560 whatever dollar car is, because it could be a 70 month, it could be a 60 month, it could be a 24 month. However, I would imagine that the cost for cars, like the point at which it becomes viable for manufacturers to offer a broader range of options on the cars, is probably like the $40,000 range. That would be my guess.
Yeah. Speaking of price points like that, another thing that I lament frequently is the fact that, like, everyone's favorite phrase, from 19,995 or whatever, they actually don't exist. Like, the base model would be that amount of money, but like, we're talking about dealer stock, like, they won't order it without like at least one option on it, so it can't be that price.
The convenience package,
like my Onyx, like, it's like, oh yeah, I just want the base model, I just want the Onyx. I'm in it for the engine and the space and the fact that it's all black. That's all I want. And they're like, well, you can only get them in the base package as long as you also get the moonroof, wireless charger, and rear automatic braking system.
Huh?
Well, then is that the base model then? Well, no, but that's like we only order those. You could custom order it, but like it would have to be a custom order. And if you're custom ordering it, like the incentives that they would give you for just buying one off their lot more than wipe out, the cost of those added items.
Yes,
So,
very true.
It's like, so I've got those things for probably less than I would have paid for a base model, but it's just, so in the end, did it hurt me? Probably not. But it's just weird that like you just can't go buy a car. Like the Volkswagen, the new Jetta would be, I think, a fantastic deal at example $19,998. I looked it up the other day for reasons, and like it's well reviewed. Like it's a nice car for under 20 grand, and it's a Volkswagen. And I dare you to find one. I bet you would never be able to get one. That's
certainly not.
Whole other option discussion to be had. But
rental car places get them.
Yeah, that's actually a good
That's
point.
probably what they make them for.
Huh. That's a good point. Well, actually, my car is not a base model, clearly, because it's the N line, but it is the most basic version of the N line, because the only thing the only thing in the ad column off the base MSRP was the cargo net and the stupid first aid kit. So, which I already had, but even then, even in that case where there's essentially one version of this trim line, there are no additional packages. There's still something to add on to the price.
Right. It is weird. I imagine if we were to get, in a conversation with someone from Ford or Toyota and talk about this kind of thing, like, hey, remember when everyone used to just check the box? Why did you guys go away from that? I would wager that they would say, well, we took all of the data from all of those people who were checking the boxes, and we found that, a lot of the people who checked this also checked this. We found all those trends, and we decided to make additions just to make it easier for everybody.
I mean, that might be part of it. I don't think it's that. I don't think there was that fine a point on it, especially not at the time when this started. They literally just did it because the economy of scale for a factory pumping out 10,000 of the identical car with a different paint color is so much better than a factory that's pumping out in that same time probably 7,000 cars with tiny little differences.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the moral of the story is that Twitter thread was correct.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was just one of his takes, but
I like this game. What other takes does he have?
Particularly glum.
What's
I don't want to steal all his takes. I mean,
we can discuss them like this. I think it's fun discussion.
Do we have any takes? Andrew's always got a take.
Andrew's already got all mine, though.
Yeah,
I've already said all mine.
Andrew wears his on his sleeve.
See episode 1 through whatever number this is inclusive.
121?
Sounds good.
I don't keep track of them that way. Nick does. I keep track of them by season.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I don't have any like super hot takes. I stick on one for years. So, the whole C8 thing, I'll be riding that for a long time.
And to the grave, yeah. Also, that's not a hot take. You're just, you're just a jean short guy.
It's a take.
Here's one that I learned many years ago when I was road tripping myself back from who the hell knows where. I feel like everyone has a road trip food, or but not just like snack stuff. I'm talking about things that you should not probably eat while you're driving, that you're gonna eat while you're driving because you got it in a drive-through. So hence, clearly, they intend for you to keep driving.
Yes.
In some small ass backwards town, I don't even remember where it was. Like, I literally don't remember the state this was in. I encountered a Little Caesars that had a drive-through. So I drove through Little Caesars and got a pizza. And Little Caesars pizza, because it has a very thick bottom crust that's very sturdy, is actually the most perfect food to eat while you are driving.
It's funny. It's almost like the opposite of that story you told about your dad eating like a chicken.
Yeah, he was like peeling apart a full chicken.
It's like, never do this.
That.
Never do this. But definitely do this. And this is eating a Little Caesars pizza.
Well, see, because the thing is, right, they're, I mean, like, it's the hot and ready or whatever. So they're never that hot, although they are ready. Yeah. So what that means is that, like, the cheese is not molten and the sauce is not dripping.
Warm.
Yeah. It's a warm pizza.
And you're right, it doesn't flop.
Exactly. It doesn't flop. You can hold it easily with one hand from the crust. It's perfect. Although they do put they put cornmeal on the bottom of their pizza so they don't stick to the slider. That will get in your car and it will never leave. It is the same as glitter, indistinguishable. Once that's in your car, it's there forever. But aside from that short little, that small little exception, it is the perfect food to eat in your car by miles.
Nick, what's your go-to I'm the driver, gotta keep driving food?
Well, it's usually something caffeine related, but like I honestly
no food, Nicholas, not energy drinks. Those are not food.
Not no gamer fuel.
Well, if you want to keep driving,
no, just like I'm the driver. I'm still going to be in the driver's seat, but I got to eat.
Oh,
what are you holding in your hand or your lap or the dashboard?
You know what whatever. I just talked about.
Yeah,
I usually go. I usually go with like a quesadilla from Taco Bell. It's not as messy.
I feel like they got big drip potential, though.
It has potential, and it's happened before. I will say this. Episode title. I will say this, though. There's a certain candy bar. I think, Tristan, you probably know this about me because you've known me long enough. That it's not sold. I think we might have found it when we were on our way up to Door County, and we stopped. Where did we stop in? Like in Cedarburg?
Yeah.
I found it in that one shop, but it's only available in like off the beaten path little towns and off the beaten path little stores or gas stations.
A candy bar?
It's a Zero bar.
Oh no, those are everywhere. Walmart has them.
Do they have them now?
Nick, I have good news for you.
Good, because usually the only time I have them is on a road trip because I'll find them at a Casey's General Store, 5 miles off the highway.
No, that is a good point, though. They usually don't have them at like our main gas stations around here, like Mobile. You usually don't get them.
No, but when I see them, I got to buy like a dozen. Because then I'll have 1 or 2 for the rest of the road trip and back home. And then I'll stash the rest in the pantry, to get me through the next year until I go on another road trip.
I find another one.
And find him again. So that would
Nick
probably be mine.
Walks up to the register with the retail packaging.
Just the
whole box.
Boom.
So that's what? White chocolate, right?
And white chocolate and nougat and caramel?
That's good.
Or should I say caramel?
I honestly think there's a difference between those two things, by the way.
You think?
I don't know. I made that up. That sounded cool.
I'm looking it up right now.
Mine's the
caramel, peanut butter, and almond nougat covered in a layer of white chocolate fudge. Introduced in 1920.
Was it called the Zero Bar in 1920?
Hell no. There's no way.
It said Zero Bar introduced in 1920. Anyway.
Wow. That really seems like that. I swear to God, I thought that would be like a 2000s introduction simply because Zero would have been like a part of like the diet push. You know what I mean? Like this candy bar, obviously it's not because it's candy bar, but like this candy bar has 0 of something.
Right.
Something.
I can see where you're coming from, but my dad actually introduced them to me and he said it was one of his favorites when he was a kid. So definitely not introduced in the 2000s.
Crazy.
Wow. Now he was not born in the 1920s. it was around close. When he was a child. So anyway, we're not a food podcast.
Although speaking of car eats.
Okay.
That just reminded me of something I've been wanting to talk about in this podcast forever. and it is only tangentially related to cars because that's how I was first introduced to it. But it's more a question of like public etiquette. So one night when I was living in Nebraska, there was I took a wrong turn on the freeway as I was trying to get. And if you do that at a certain place in Nebraska, you end up 20 miles north of the city of Lincoln. And you have to essentially take the same road back or go all the way around the outside to the northeast, or at that point, yeah, you're out to the northwest. You got to go back northeast. And out there was like at this turnaround where there's a barbecue place and a Subway. The Subway was open and it was late and I was hungry. So I go through the drive-through and ordered whatever it was, like a steak sandwich, something like that. And the guy asked me what I want. And so I named the veggies I want. And then he's like, do you want me to toast the veggies too? And it was the middle of the night. It's pitch black. And a beam of light came down from the heavens and struck the car because of this man's powerful emotional question to me, because I did want the veggies toasted, but I didn't know how to ask for that. Of course I would want that. Why wouldn't I ask that? Why wouldn't I ask for that? But I didn't know I could. So anyways, had it. Best Subway sandwich I've ever eaten. But I've never asked for this again because I don't know, A, how the Subway employee is going to react, or B, how I'm going to look asking them to go meat, veggies, then cheese, because that's how you toast it for optimal flavor on the sandwich. I feel like I can't do it in a Subway, right? That's wrong.
It's not wrong.
No.
That's I don't know. I think I fall somewhere in the middle between Nick and Andrew as far as how much I'm willing to talk to people. I'm willing to make food requests, and like service requests, because I'm definitely of the opinion the worst thing they can do is say no, and I'm never gonna see this kid again. So, you know.
Why not? Because what if you go to that Subway regularly?
They're never going to know who I am.
I mean, you're pretty unmistakable.
Always a disguise.
I keep fake mustaches everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's got the mustache sunglasses kit in his glove compartment just in case.
Groucho glasses.
Hello, sir. I have never been to this Subway before.
Comes in like a SpongeBob Halloween costume the next time.
Reagan masks. No, but it's just
Tristan going incognito in the
like, for example,
every time.
Like at the grocery store this very day, I like asked the guy behind the meat counter. I was like, "This is going to be a particularly specific pitch, but can I get exactly 6 pieces of bacon?"
But I mean,
and he gave you 6 pieces
normal.
of bacon.
I feel like that's I feel like that is a pretty normal request though, because I've asked for numbers of things at a deli as opposed to a pound weight. I feel like that's pretty normal. But all right, if I'm really being honest here, the reason why I feel like I shouldn't ask for it at Subway is because
you don't want to mess with the art. You don't want to tell the artists how to do their job.
Not at all. I don't think they could handle the request. I think it would break the Subway people.
Oh, dude, that's like when my dad asked for lots of ice when we were in England.
What?
So we were in England, and they are not big on ice cubes. And
what kind of what?
And so we were at a Burger King, which had an ice machine, and he could see the like ice machine with the big bucket of ice underneath. And he was just like, I just want an icy drink. So he tells the guy, the poor kid behind the counter, like, I would like a large Diet Coke with lots of ice. And the guy puts in like 4 cubes and like looked behind him back at my dad. Like, is that good? Is that enough? And my dad was like, no, more. And like, then he looked scared. Like, do I need to get my manager to put this much ice in? And that's how I envision you talking to a Subway employee. Like they reach to put the cheese down first, and you're like, no, veggies and then cheese. and then toast the whole. No, don't close it. Toast the whole thing. That's what I envision. I think they'll be able to handle it.
I don't know. Maybe I'll try it sometime. It is a real problem that I have to deal with because
you had a sandwich artist suggested to you. You have the weight of that authority.
But he was just one friendly. Actually, he looked not dissimilar from you, Tristan, this guy who in Nebraska made my sandwich. And
it was me.
This was
Tristan incognito in a subway.
Best reveal of all time. If that had been true, that would have been the best reveal ever.
What surprise! It was me the whole time.
Does this look familiar?
Hold up a picture of your sandwich.
Exactly.
Is this your sandwich?
Incredibly amazing. But no, I just feel like I can't. I don't know. I got to try it sometime, but I feel a way about doing it. I think it's going to end badly, and I'm just going to be mad that I even tried.
So you just have low confidence in food service employees in general.
Well, no, I have no confidence.
Okay,
I do, especially in the drive-thru.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very low opinions of that.
Yeah.
Which, because they
I
can
haven't had
screw
good
it
luck
up
lately either.
They can screw it up when I put it in the app perfectly. Like, even if I'm not ordering through a person, like if I verify my order through the app and it comes out wrong, that's not my fault.
Yeah. So that actually just happened to us in a Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru. Here was our incredibly complicated order. Medium iced caramel coffee. 0 cream, 0 sugar. Got that? Like that's
Coke 0 sugar.
It was a large. It was a large, not a medium, so they got the size wrong. It was one of those big bathtubs of iced coffee. And on the little receipt that comes on the cup, it says 5 sugar, 5 cream. I'm like, how did you get 5 of each out of 0?
Oh no, what happened there is you got someone else's order.
Still.
Like the time, that
doesn't make it better.
We went to Taco Bell and just got blithely the
someone
wrong thing.
Else's stuff.
Completely wrong thing. That's like its own thing. All right, we should probably stop talking about fast food.
Let's talk about cars. Hey,
this is probably too much.
Hey, there is a supercar maker for sale.
Who is it?
Falcon Motorsports.
No, a real one.
Falcon Motorsports.
It's a real one. Falcon F7 is their supercar. And guys, I mean, we all just chip in a little bit. All you need is $675,000 to buy this company.
Andrew, sell your house.
No.
But that is a down payment.
Have you seen the Falcon F7?
Yes.
This looks dumb.
Well,
this looks like a create a car, like a generic create a car supercar placeholder in like a Ubisoft game. Like it would be called the Falcon F7. Exactly that in a game where it's not a real car.
Well, Andrew, that's probably why the company is for sale for less than $1 million. It's not doing so hot. Like, you don't buy it to sell that specific one. You buy it to rebuild it, do something better.
I'm not going to lie.
You can 2013.
That seems like too much money.
What'd you say, Tristan, about 2013?
All of their advertising is about 2013.
Woof.
The 620 horsepower Falcon F7 is 2013's most coveted car, says Bloomberg.
This is like trying to go out and buy Spiker.
Except less cool.
Except extremely less cool. I wish Spiker was real.
They were real enough to name a Formula One team about 10 years ago.
I know, and they had such
but Rich Energy was real enough to sponsor one, so
yeah.
Also true. Good point. Touche, sir.
Man, every time I see pictures of the Spiker cars that probably didn't exist, I just get so bummed.
So nobody's in on chipping in to buy Falcon?
No, we're talking about cool cars now.
All right, fine.
We're talking about the Preliator. Ooh, Preliator. Best interior of all time.
That's the Spiker?
Spiker Preliator, yeah, the C8.
Is that the one that's the background image on your laptop, or it was?
Yeah. Still is.
Preliator.
All-time best shifter, all-time best gauges.
Yeah, that does look pretty slick.
Airplane switches for everything. Now maybe that's a hot take, but more shit in cars should be done with airplane switches. It's not just for Mini.
Yeah, Lamborghini has one of those red like bomb flip switches underneath for their engine start stop, the little thumb switch, which is pretty slick. Yeah, the interior is awesome on this Preliator. The exterior is okay. It looks okay. I said the interior is awesome.
Well, okay, but remember this was from the heady days of like 2013. And then they re-released it again in 2018 and pretended like it was new, but it wasn't.
That's pretty shifty, Spiker. Thinking we're just not going to notice.
Well, no one noticed the first time, so why would they notice this time?
Speaking of, just
what?
Cars that look like placeholders. Jessica sent me a bunch of things from a Tumblr she found of cars that didn't make it, and I can't stop thinking about this one I just put in chat. Oh wow, that didn't format properly at all.
Why are you not? Why are you just bringing this up now? We could have based a whole episode around this.
It's not really that in depth, but
yeah, I can't click that link on the chat.
No, it's because it's not a link.
All right, I got it.
But
this is lit. Look at that.
Okay, so that's the one that I found. There are more pictures of it at the bottom in the gallery. I've yet to scroll
the Alpha Navajo Bertone. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And the headlights are pop out headlights on the side.
Yeah.
It has
really
pincers. And
why didn't they use this for Back to the Future instead of the DeLorean?
Because it was a concept that didn't make it, and they didn't have any money. They couldn't find this anywhere.
Oh, look at that font! I'm really having a problem. I just cannot stop falling in love with 70s fonts and color choices. I'm just really
agreed.
It's getting bad.
And
this is really cool.
The quadrifoil on the back in the almost in my mind I thought of it as a bullpup spoiler that's actually spoiler that's over actual body pieces, not just off the back.
Sorry, I mean this is a audio medium here. So this car, again, the Alfa Romeo 33 Navajo concept by Bertone. Whatever,
probably
Bertone. Yeah. So it's a wedge shape. It has
a dashing red stripe down the
does have a red stripe
straight down the side.
It's very, very angular. Lots of trapezoid shape action on the back. There are wheel covers over the back wheels, which are noticeably bigger and wider than the front wheels. It's like the car that Knight Rider wanted to be.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
It's absolutely sick. I love it.
I
love everything about this.
My first reaction was, "Whew, wow, that's really something," and then I couldn't make it go away out of my head.
This is awesome.
I'm snagging pictures. It'll go up on Facebook after this episode is released, so you guys can see what we're talking about. But this is awesome.
Yeah, it's I know a lot of concept cars look cool and they don't make it, and I know why. But it's things like this that kind of point out to me how much of a shame that is. And the world needs wilder cars, and maybe people wouldn't buy them. I don't know, but that's my thesis is that more wackos need to release cars and people need to buy them.
I always wonder
that's your hot take?
Yeah, that's my hot take is that aggressive, sometimes offensive car design can be the best, and we need to embrace that more often. And I think people are cowards and afraid of failure, and that's why we don't see it.
I also think that I've thought about this a little bit lately because I've been sort of in my mind, like tracing the path of Hyundai and the Veloster and the N line versus what Toyota is doing or trying to do or partially doing with GR. So looking at what Hyundai did with the Veloster when they brought it out, it was like supposed to be like their urban like appeal to millennials car, right? And obviously it worked with me. But it's like, oh, it was styled like a backwards cap, dumb stuff like that was really, really mocked when it came out. Then they brought the car out. Everyone said, oh, this car looks great if only it had performance. So they brought out the turbo. Everyone said, oh, wouldn't this be great if it had some more performance? Then they brought out the R-Spec, and everyone said, oh, no, that's too much performance. So, or not the right kind of performance, I guess it was, because like the ride and stuff like that. So they kind of went away, and then they came out with the N, which everyone immediately loved. But in the meantime, what they did was move the Veloster into a position where it starts the design for the rest of the car brand. Between that and the Elantra, if you look at those two cars as they sit on lots, you know where their next design is going. So it's big grills, the LED lining on the lights, the angular nature, all of that. That's what they kind of use those to introduce their design and then bring it to the rest of the line to their mass sellers. And I think that's where car companies get scared of doing something weird, like producing a car that only has 3 doors for almost 10 years at this point, like through 2 or 3 solid iterations. That you can't expect that car to sell 1 million. I think you have to expect that car to be a nice bonus to your Camry. And I think that is a similar tack to what Toyota's trying to do with the GR Yaris, but I'm pretty sure that's doomed to fail because the one thing they did is price it so that if the GR Yaris were to ever come to America, it would cost like $43,000.
Yep. They did everything right except the price.
Yeah.
Everything you hear about the performance of the GR Yaris, like it's all glowing. Like this thing is a little beast. It can handle anything you throw at it. We love it. We love it. We love it. This is great. And then nobody is going to buy it because they price themselves right out of the market.
Yep.
Or at least in the States.
Well, I think where it's not coming, but I think, I mean, looking at specifically the Veloster N, it's clear to me that Hyundai used that as a loss leader by pricing it low originally, where they may have been taking a loss on the specific model, but they kept a lot of the tech out of it so that when they brought out the next generation, literally the next model year, the price jumped up by like $3,500 because they just shoved all that shit in. But people were already invested. People were already looking at the brand like, oh my God, because every auto reviewer in the world got their hands on that car and went, buy this and own this. And I think Toyota has all that they need to do that. It's just they keep dipping their toe in. Camry TRD, Avalon TRD. It's kind of the same thing. People are getting those cars and being like, this is good. Or they're seeing them in parking lots and saying, this looks incredible.
We said that at the Chicago Auto Show. We were walking around in that booth. We were like, hey, these are actually really sweet.
Absolutely. Yep. But they just got to go. They got to go a little farther. And I think, pick a lane with the naming, right? TRD, GR. Stop the nonsense. Just do one and then move on from there.
Well, I think it's tough to. I would almost say that if the GR Yaris came to the States, I would bet that they would call it the TRD because TRD is like an American thing, where GR is overseas. It's almost like the Honda NSX versus the Acura NSX.
Oh yeah. Well, I was thinking. I thought, or isn't there something with? Well, TRD was originally like off-road, right?
Yep, it's off-road, and then they applied it like NASCAR. anything that's in NASCAR.
Yeah.
The trucks, the car, the Camry, Cup cars, the Supras, they're all TRDs. So that has a foothold here where like, the WEC Toyota cars that have been dominating Le Mans the past few years, those are Gazoo Racing. Like Toyota Gazoo Racing is the official team name. So that's like the European thing. So there's that lineage there when if they were to, rally with the Yaris or something over in Europe and do that kind of stuff, there's where the GR comes in. I don't think it's going to have any weight here. If they're going to bring it over here, they're going to change the name.
I think they probably have to. Yeah, no, you make a good point. That's right. Yeah, TRD really is now what
TRD is really like, we see it as a lot of off-road stuff because that's what they sold here, but like, it's their in-house tuning division, like Quattro, GmbH, AMG, like it's
it's
HPD.
their skunk works.
Their skunk works. Yeah. HPD for Honda, because they made a bunch of other stuff. I mean, they made superchargers for Scions, all sorts of stuff. But you happen to see, TRD Pros, the TRD Forerunners, that kind of thing. But they're just their in-house tuning division.
I have the answer, boys. I have the answer. Fear not. From February of this year, some hot news. The difference between Gazoo Racing and TRD is that TRD produces parts to increase the performance of Toyota models, whereas Gazoo Racing focuses on producing factory models that are as high performance as possible.
So TRD is bolt-on.
According to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Gazoo is more along the lines of Quattro, GmbH, AMG. So.
Yes, and that actually does line up with what they do, I guess.
Yep. Okay, well, there you have it, folks. Cleared that one up. Hooray, journalistic integrity.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think there's now a new path, essentially, right? It doesn't have to end. Performance lines or performance like family cars don't have to begin and end with the Civic Si and then everything Germany makes. I think there's now a proven path to making that work and keeping it consistent. But I'm really interested to see what Toyota does in version 2 of the TRD cars if they keep them. And Toyota has a nasty, horrible habit of just axing that shit after one go around and never seeing it again, which would be super disappointing.
Yeah, it's a lot like Subaru in that way. The Spec B legacies, actual STI branded and produced Foresters.
Yeah,
they kind of come and go out of the mist, and they're fabulous when they arrive. But having them on a more consistent basis would be, I think, a bonus. And yeah, aggressive styling decisions. All those things. Push harder. But I guess it's hard to justify that when you're selling a bunch of cars. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on how you view it, right? If you want every single one of your cars to sell the most possible, then your philosophy is going to be to play it safe. But if you think that you can keep a base seller and have something for fun, and you can make that work, I think you got to try it. So I found out something today that has to do with my new car that I don't know what I got to do. So got my car, a week ago, 2 weeks ago now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else on my street bought one as well. They bought a gray one. Do I have to fight him?
Only if he bought the same color. If he bought
the same color.
If he bought a gray one, now you need to start forming a gang.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The only two options.
You need to
or fight others
together.
You go around and you start terrorizing people in TRD Camrys.
You need to establish your turf up and down Sunset now. Like that's
rubbing gangs of Elantra Ns.
Yes,
that is
exactly.
That is your next mission,
or N lines, as it were.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, I think I can do that. Or at least, that means
you have to go talk to him.
No. From the
No, just flash them the super secret N hand sign.
I feel like that could get you in trouble.
Something like like that. 3 of them.
Was that what a lowercase n? What you're trying to do?
Yeah, like I mean, it's not good, but
It's not good, but you got it though.
That dude's gonna be looking across the street like, why is that dude with arthritis waving at me?
Hi.
Who's that kid doing that?
what is that? Yeah. No,
No, go ahead.
Let's say we were just discussing people who bought cars like yours, and then that made me think of people who are going to buy cars that actually aren't like mine, because it's the way my brain works. So
I thought the exact opposite.
So the new Wilderness Edition Outback finally broke cover with like an actual like drivable model. Like, here it is.
Yeah.
And put another one on the board for we were right. They made it more and worse.
More and worse, you say?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, like they added skid plates, an inch of lift, took off 2 or 3 miles per gallon, and put the tires that the Yokohama version of the tires that I put on my car, and they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for it, and it's going to be worse. It's going to drive worse. It's going to get worse gas mileage, and it's going to cost more. And the only tricky, cool thing is like flip open tow hook points instead of having to poke the holes out of your bumper, and an X mode that doesn't turn off at 20 miles an hour. You can just leave it on all the time. Like, they didn't add any of the cool stuff that we were talking about. Like, it was like, oh, it'll be cool if they like go all out and they add like places to mount your jerry cans and all this other stuff. But they just made it. But they just made it a taller Outback that has a skid plate option.
Taller, heavier Outback.
Yeah, like
you could be stoked for Moab with that.
No, you couldn't. That's the thing.
Well, I didn't say
not even the slightest bit interested in Moab with that.
But you could go to Moab in your Subaru and look the part.
Go to Moab in mine.
Well, all right,
and watch other people be stoked.
Yeah, you could drive there.
Secondhand stoking.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I we were right, and I was actually like hoping to be excited about it. I was hoping to be excited about the fact that I was like, oh, now I'm gonna have to trade in my car. Like I got to get one of these. I was hoping for that, but I knew it was going to be disappointing, and to me, it is. Other than the X mode thing, you should have just left it to the aftermarket. Like the ones that the guys put together from like AB Aventura, like with the professional lifts, big bumpers, actual skid plates, like those look better. If you want to do that, do it that way. Don't do it by buying the one from the factory.
I'm sorry to hear. I'm sorry about your loss.
Yeah, R.I.P.
But I do see a bunch of people driving your exact car, the Onyx.
Yes,
edition.
Yes. I saw popular. One just the other day, and it was like unlabeled. It wasn't an Onyx. It was actually just an XT, but it was like unlabeled. It was like Subaru Outback XT.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is it the Touring or is it the Premium? Like mine has the Onyx badge. The other ones just say XT, which gives it an air of mystery.
I see. So okay, I should be looking for the Onyx specifically.
Yeah, that one's mine, and that one will actually be labeled as such.
I've been seeing a lot of the Forester sports with
the orange trim. Yeah,
orange or red trim. They're everywhere, and I don't know how. Like, I really wanted that SUV leaving the Chicago Auto Show last year. Was like this. Once marriage and babies come, like this would be a really cool one to tote the kids around in. And word must have got out because I thought that, there's no less than 74 of them within a 3-mile radius of where I live.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're everywhere.
Man, it's
Every
so
parking
bad.
lot has 2, guaranteed.
It's so bad with the Outback in general. I pulled into a gas station and was the 5th Outback to arrive. I was like, wow.
Wait, you said gas station?
Yes.
Not an REI? Okay.
No, that's the thing. I would expect it at an REI.
Right.
It would be 5 Outbacks, 3 or 4 Foresters, one Impreza with way too much roof rack, and like a couple Forerunners there. Like that I get.
Yeah.
But just a regular gas station. And it was like, I'm like, oh, Outback number 5 is here today. Like,
oh, here's a thing. Speaking of off-roady vehicles, driving home from our Easter get-together a couple days ago, I saw my first in-the-flesh new Bronco on the street.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. It's actually the guy...
I've actually seen a couple.
It was a four... Really? This was the first one I've seen. It was a 4-door, had a big roof rack on it, and the guy had it all black on black on black. Tristan, looked like yours.
Yeah.
And it, in my opinion, doesn't get better. Like seeing it in person on the road. Like I just can't get into it.
It was the real Bronco, not the Bronco Sport.
Sure.
That's the 2-door one, presumably.
The Sport is the 2-door.
I'm trying to
Tristan,
remember.
that's a question. We don't know.
No, Bronco Sport is 4-door.
Okay, then that's what I saw.
Which, yes, those are not stellar. I don't particularly care for those.
God,
maybe it's because I saw the 4-door version and it just looks a little bit longer and weirder.
And there is a 2021 Bronco Sport and Bronco. They are both 4-doors, from what I can see here.
This configurator is a nightmare.
But hey, there's an OBX edition, Andrew.
Outer Bank stickers all over my Bronco. Oh, sorry. I've never looked at this page largely because of how forced the meme was. But now that I'm here, I'm realizing that first of all, it sucks, and second of all, so there's a customize panel which has like the models, and there's a pick your adventure panel, and much to my surprise, the water page does not in fact have the Bronco fully immersed in water, nor does the open air have it diving off a cliff. So I think that this webpage is fake.
Diving off a cliff.
How open is this air really?
Yeah. So
How
anyway,
have I not seen one, by the way?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've only seen the regular ones.
This is some bullshit. I
wouldn't get your hopes up, man. Like I wasn't too impressed by it.
Well, all right. To be clear, there's no way for me to truly have hopes for an off-roader because I don't get it.
Right. But it sounds like you're excited to see one, and what I'm saying is, don't be.
Well, okay, but you said that about the Blazer too, and I loved the Blazer when I finally saw it in person.
Okay, but did you dislike it before?
Yes. I did actually, didn't I?
Okay.
I did dislike it before.
Because yeah, if
And
it's
then
something that
seeing
you
it in the
thought
metal.
looked cool and was excited for, I get it. But if you're not excited about the Bronco, I don't know if seeing it all I'm saying is I don't know if seeing it in person is going to make you more excited. But I guess that's up to you, obviously. So
We'll find out.
yeah, we'll see.
A quick question about off-road vehicles. Do you think it makes more sense for your third car to be something more practical or less practical? And practical being, an off-roader theoretically is practical versus a, 2-seater sports car, which is not necessarily.
So in the third stall.
In the
the
third
garage.
stall, yes.
I think it depends on how hard you're going in either direction. So, like, I feel like we have at least a decent opportunity in this country, maybe not right here, but in this country, to like really utilize an aggressive real off-road vehicle
Mhm.
to within 20% of its performance envelope. You can really get two wheels up in the air and up to your door handles in mud and all that stuff. So I would say that that's one you could use, but we don't really have, other than like going to a track day, we don't have a lot of places where you can really enjoy a high performance vehicle that's like way out on the edge. Um, what would normally be called a track day special for that reason. So I would say it's harder for me to say like, hey, in the third stall you should put an impractical vehicle because it's your pride and joy, you love it, it makes you happy. If it's a high performance car versus like an off-road car, just because when are you going to get to use, when are you going to let it make you happy other than like looking at it or quick entrance ramp runs? But if that's really all it gets to do, is that going to make you happy or just sad that you're not going to ever really get to use it to its full potential? That's, I think, a lot of the answer to the overall question is which way are you going and how hard. If you're going to go off-road, then I would say if you're going to go hard off-road, then sure, you can go less practical in your third spot. But other than that, I vote practical and then actually less practical for your daily driver. Like, because in your daily driver is where like I think, well, I traded mine in, but I don't feel hypocritical for saying it, but like something like your Veloster or a WRX or Nick, you have one, a Focus ST, a hotter than normal, more enjoyable than normal, something that makes you feel a little something on your commute. That's what you should drive every day.
Definitely.
And then,
Yes.
and then you can keep yourself, and then either you have, your basic pickup truck, a big van, whatever, in the third spot as the utility player for like, oh, I got to go to, Home Depot, or, I'm taking the kids on a trip, or, whatever. That could be your third stall. So I think there's a solid argument for that. But there's also a solid argument for drive something kind of, Andrew, like you and I have now, something that's, practical, but can still bring you joy day to day, and then put something really impractical in your third spot that, you can really wring some joy out of. But I think only if you can get joy out of it, which sadly, as much as I'm, I like off-road stuff, but I like on-road stuff also. It makes me sad to kind of leave out on-road stuff. Really hard-edged on-road stuff is harder to justify for me.
Yeah, I think so. I think probably
I would
off-roader
agree.
too.
I would agree. Like, reason I didn't go for the RS versus instead of the ST, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm paying 4 to 5 figures more depending on model year and mileage and all that kind of stuff, up to a good 5 figures more for a car that has 60 more horsepower, 70 more horsepower. But where am I going to use that extra 60 or 70 more horsepower?
Everywhere. Drift stick.
Tristan's favorite. I'm surprised Tristan didn't chime in with that.
And the most uncomfortable seats ever made. Oh my God.
In the RS?
They're so bad.
I didn't have a problem with them.
No?
Mm-mm.
Maybe you have to be tall in a weird twist of fate.
I don't know, because it wasn't. It was literally the issue of stabbing me right in the hip bones.
He also is a very tall, narrow man.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why.
Say, I kind of like that. It kind of folds up around you.
It didn't fold
See,
around me. It just
if
sat
it's-
right at the back of my ass.
If it's me, it's folding through me.
There was no folding. It was just pounding.
All
All right, let's get out of here.
All right, is it time to, on that
Definitely.
note, pounding on Andrew's butt?
Just pounding.
All right, let's get on out of here for this week. Oh, hey, we forgot to mention where you can find us on the socials. So find us on Facebook at Check Engine Podcast. Andrew, where can they find us on Twitter?
At Check Engine Pod.
Tristan, where can they find us on Instagram?
Also at Check Engine Pod.
So yeah, be sure to like, follow, share, post, DM, reach out how and when you can. You can ask us questions to answer on the air. You can answer the questions that we have asked of you. Excuse me. Let us know what you like, dislike, give us topic ideas, any of that kind of stuff. We look forward to hearing from you. So thanks for sticking with us today. We appreciate you listening. But as I mentioned, we don't just want you to listen. We want to interact with you. We would also like you to leave a review if you get the chance, preferably a good one on any of your favorite streaming platforms, and or hit that subscribe button for us. It's free, and all that's going to happen is you get notified when we put out any new episodes. If you're really into what we're doing and you'd like to support this podcast monetarily, two options for that as well. We have a Patreon, so patreon.com/checkenginepodcast, or right there on our homepage at anchor.fm next to our logo, there is a support button that you can click. So that's anchor.fm/checkenginepodcast. Every cent pledged is put towards making this podcast a better experience for you, and none of it goes back into our pockets. So again, thank you in advance if you choose to do that. Gentlemen, who or what are we shouting out before we get out of here?
I'm gonna thank whatever team of people tuned the DCT in my car or this car. It's just like really, really good. Where they've put the shift points in like the normal mode versus the sport mode, which gives you more control. Like it's just, they nailed it. Like it's so good. It's so refined.
I'm so looking forward to driving your car at some point.
Yeah, it's a good time.
We can switch. We can car swap. You can drive the ST for a week. I'll drive yours for a week. Then we'll compare notes. That'd be great. Tristan, who are you thanking? Or what?
Come back to me. I have a couple things I'm working through.
Okay.
Options.
Like emotionally?
Not emotions or life problems.
You okay there, pal?
Yeah. I'd like to thank the sadness, the darkness. No, I'm kidding. But
all right, I'll come back to you. In the meantime, I would like to thank the Hollywood Brands Candy Company of Minneapolis, Minnesota, who released the Zero Bar, then known as the Double Zero Bar, in 1920. A tasty treat for over 100 years. And one of my favorites. My favorite road trip snack.
when was it released?
1920?
Wow.
Were you checking my
Nice.
math?
No. I was just I forgot how far back it went. So I was like, was it like 1900? But no, 1920. So it's like, wow, that's cool. While we're on the track of thanking brands, I'll throw this one out there. I'd like to thank Purina for creating a lovely object known as the Busy Bone. That's why, hopefully, this time through, we have heard little to no input from our fourth honorary host, my puppy Casimir. He's been well occupied, so thank you, Purina, for making the Busy Bone.
Awesome. Thanks, Purina, for that. And as always, thank you, listeners, for your continued support. We love hearing from you, we love recording this for you, and we cannot wait to speak to you again. Until then, take care.